Hello there. Welcome to a new episode of the PlayHead podcast. I am Nemo from the YouTube channel Dr. Nemo, and I'm here with Sami from Aim by Frame. How are you doing, Sami?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, actually. I'm pretty excited to be here with you. First time recording a podcast with you, so I just find it very exciting.
This is my first podcast ever, so
So today we're gonna give a little introduction on what is the concepts behind this podcast. We're also gonna talk about who we are and what we do on YouTube, what we do outside of YouTube, and we're gonna start diving right into the theme of the podcast. This podcast is called PlayHead. The idea behind it is that we are both relatively early stage YouTube content creators, and we would like to share how it is to be at this stage of a YouTube channel, but also how it feels, what are our predictions for the future, and all the things we work on every time we make a video to make it work for us, for the audience. And PlayHead is a little bit of a pun. A trailhead is the beginning of a trail, and we are on YouTube, so the play button is very relevant. And so our little characters, which is part of which is the logo of the podcast, is a playhead button, a play button who is going on a journey, which feels a bit like what we are doing when we enter the world of YouTube and don't have much experience. We don't know where we are going. We just feel we are at the beginning of the trailhead. And the character is also a play button as a head who walks, so that makes sense. The playhead is also the cursor that you use on a video editing timeline at the vertical.
Yeah, we discovered
cursor.
that much later on.
Yeah,
We discovered that after we came up with the name.
And that fits perfectly because what we are doing is essentially giving you an update of where we are on this timeline. Right now it's at the beginning of the timeline, but in the future we might do episode where we are down the timeline, and we might be able to look back at what we talked about when we were early stage, and talk about it with experience and criticism from experience. So this is a little bit of the pun around the name, and it also gives you an overview of what we want to talk about. The structure of the podcast is going to work like this. Today we're going to talk a little bit about who we are, what we do on YouTube, a little bit of an introductive episode, but then we would like to talk about other topics such as how do we make videos, how do we grab the attention of the audience, how do we tell stories, how do we build community, how do we promote our content, and not only the good things, sometimes also the tough things, like how does frustration manifest during this journey, the concept of virality. How do you say this word, Sami?
Virality.
That's sophisticated. I like it. The algorithm, the money, which is something we have to talk about, and also the advent of AI now and how that's gonna change our work. When we started, AI was not that scary in terms of creating content that is for some people. Some people can't perceive the difference between what is being generated by AI or what I've been working on for like 1 month, to create a little scene. So those are all scary things and a bit frustrating also. So we'll also try to talk about that.
I had to Google, by the way, virality to make sure that I said it correctly, because I was like, what if I said it incorrectly so confidently?
Is it correct then?
Hold on, I wrote vitality instead. Virality. What's it?
Yeah, take your time. So in French it will be viralité.
Viralité.
Yeah.
Gave me vitality again. Okay, I think it's correct. Yeah.
Virality.
Yeah.
Virality. There we go. We'll talk about that down the line. Virality is not going to be about the topics we're going to talk today. Today instead, we're going to talk about who we are. It is a very open question, but mostly, what do you do on YouTube and what do you do outside of YouTube, and why YouTube? So, Sami, who are you?
All right. So my name is Sami Shukair. I am from Lebanon, actually. In fact, fun fact, none of us are like native English speakers.
True.
English is our second, or technically nowadays it's called second first language. I heard that before. I don't know how accurate that term is, which is hilarious because I'm supposed to be a native Arab speaker, and yet my English is much better than my Arabic.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yeah. So my family makes fun of me all the time for like you speaking in English when everybody else is speaking in Arabic to me. So I am a professional video editor right now. I work with an agency that does Instagram content, ads, from TV ads to just social media ads. I think last thing I worked on was like a Burger King ad and a hydration drink ad as well.
Okay.
So editing is basically what I do in real life. And now I'm trying to, make my own content. The YouTube has been something that I was passionate about because just I like the freedom of it. There is no boss telling you what to do. Every time I get an idea, I'm like, hey, this would be an interesting video and stuff like that. And I ended up being in the niche of obscure animation. I found myself constantly loving finding old animated stuff that nobody talks about. And I'm like, hey, why is nobody talking about this? This is really interesting. And then the making of stories also part of the whole fun, especially also tracking down where to find copies of something so obscure that it might be lost media. In the end, that's what my channel got known for. I was doing filmmaking stuff at the same time, but the video essay documentaries about the obscure animation got more interest, so I ended up just focusing on that.
Cool. I really love the lost media and obscure animation stuff you do. I actually also really like your shorts. I believe you should do more of that whenever you have time.
Hopefully when I get more budget. I want to make a little bit more professional looking stuff. It was mostly DIY stuff.
So why YouTube for you?
Well, for me, I grew up watching a bunch of different YouTubers, and I saw that they gained some sense of success. And I'm like, this is interesting. I want to do something like that. Although ironically, back in the day, it was like sketch comedy that I was into. So my plan was to be that. Though the older I got, the less interested I was in that side of YouTube. And the more I got into video essays and all that stuff. And I'm like, I could try doing something like that. I remember the very old animated film that seemed to be lost media at the time. And I couldn't find it anywhere. So I went down this huge rabbit hole to try and track it down. And then I was like, hey, this could be a video. So I made an entire series just based on hunting down old obscure media from my content, from my childhood. And that's how it started.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. What about you? As a science-based YouTube channel.
Well, so my name is...
What attracted you? Yes.
Yeah, don't worry. So my name is Nemo. It's actually not my true, real, legal name. But that's how people know me online. I'm technically not a doctor yet. I'll come to that in a minute. But so I like to say that what I do on YouTube is that YouTube is a bit of my channel is a bit of a place where I mix my passion for science, but with music and animation and skits for an explosive cocktail of fun. I used to label my content as science communication for a long time, but over time, I feel like the skits and the music, the animation, the visual effects have somehow taken over, in the sense that you're still science, but now I do care a lot about the lore of the channel. I try to make fiction. So today it feels less like a classroom, and that's why I prefer to call it science entertainment. Lately, I've been exploring the idea of talking about biology and cinema at the same time, but those are two things that I really care about. I have this series that's called Biofilm. Actually, I might be able to share my screen. Let's do that. Book up. There is my YouTube channel. Biofilm, where I talk about movie monsters and creatures and how their abilities and features might have been inspired by real life organism. I talk about Attack the Block, Predator, and The Thing. I'm a scientist outside of YouTube. I'm actually a PhD student. I'm at the very end of my PhD as I'm finishing writing my thesis. I'm a neuroscientist. I do work on the neural control of cephalopod camouflage. So essentially, I study how animals like octopuses are able to change color. And so there have always been quite a huge overlap between what I do on YouTube and what I do outside of YouTube, because at the beginning, my YouTube channel was a lot about marine biology, and whenever in a video I have the opportunity to talk about cephalopods, so animals like octopuses, squids, and cuttlefish, I do always do that. So this is what I do on YouTube. This is what I do outside of YouTube. My thesis is almost done, so right now I'm in a transition period where I'm transitioning towards the job of YouTube. Essentially, I want to make YouTube my job for the future. And for me, why YouTube? It's been more of a question of freedom of expression, not freedom of speech, but in the sense of like when I wanted to do science communication, I tried Facebook. I tried the prototype version of Dr. Nemo was a page called Krakenology, where I used to do a lot of drawings and comics, and I just always felt very constrained by the medium. Also on Instagram at the time, you would not make a lot of videos. It was mostly still image based or very, very, very short videos. And so that was 5 years ago. And I don't know, I wanted to be in front of the camera also. I wanted to mix, music and skits and all of that. And the only way I could do that was through videos, unless I go on stage. But it's another story for another time. And so videos were the
pull up the TED Talk.
We're talking about it another time. But so YouTube was the best place to share videos essentially. And I can show a little bit of your YouTube channel because I didn't before. But this is Aim by Frame by Sami.
I helped my thumbnail game. Originally, we had very, very cheap thumbnails. I wasn't even thinking about that. Now, it's a little bit more professional. Although the older videos have less professional thumbnails.
Yeah, you did remove some videos, right?
All the filmmaking stuff are now on an unlisted playlist.
It feels more cohesive like this, in the sense that I remember before you had some of your shorts here, and so now when you look at it, there's an identity right behind this let's say decomposition of all of your thumbnails. That's very cool. Let's come here. So what is your long-term goal with YouTube? If you started YouTube because you wanted to share some of the stuff that you care about, or just because at the beginning you say that you started this investigation trying to find lost media and stuff, and it made sense to share it. When you think about it in 5, 10, 20 years, is this something you still want to do? Is this a passion that you have on the side that if it works, it works? You don't want it to make it a job or something like that? What is your relationship to the future of this channel?
Well, I used to go back and forth back in the day where I'm like, maybe I can do YouTube full time. Maybe I should just leave it as a hobby. No, maybe I could turn it into a job, and then it goes back and forth on what exactly I want to do with it. Right now, my goal is well, in real life, my goal was to find a decent job that I can do during the weekdays and have the weekends where I can do my passion projects. Right now, I have that. It's not the highest paying job, but it pays well enough for what I do. And I get to treat my video essays like fun documentaries that I can do as a hobby. Hopefully, if I can see some form of, say, sponsorship money or a little bit more in terms of AdSense. I have yet to make a single dime from AdSense. That's a whole other story. Yeah, so unless I see some form of revenue from my channel, I don't think I'm going to be chasing it as a job. Right now, I'm just keeping it to the side and have it grow naturally and organically.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, yeah, I mentioned it before. I always felt like I would love that to be my job. It's the ultimate form of freedom of expression or creativity for me. The idea of being my own boss, I really like that. And also I can work on anything. Like making a video, like the video is more of a medium. I mean, it is a video, but like right now, the way I built the YouTube channel, the idea is that on the long run, now we're talking about science, I started talking about cinema, I can talk about anything I want in the future, and then people will stay there and will keep watching me if they like who I am and what I have to share. So I like this idea that I have the freedom to talk about anything I want, that I'm the boss of myself, and like we're gonna talk about how we, like in some of the next episodes, we'll talk about how we can earn money through YouTube. But yeah, now that I'm transitioning to this to unemployment, scary, but also like in this period, I want to focus on my YouTube channel and think how can I make this a job, because for me it would be the dream job, to have all this creative freedom, to be able to talk about anything I want and just finding my audience and living the dream. That's my dream. I like it. Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
So my question to you is like, how do you feel about this right now? Like you said that it might grow organically. It feels like you are how do you say this? You don't have like huge expectations. That you would like something to happen, but you don't have huge expectations. Are you a bit scary? Are you a bit frustrated sometimes? Or do you really try to create a distance between you and those possible expectations, in the sense that, okay, if it grows and works and it's a job, I would be happy. But if it doesn't happen, I'm also fine with it. I don't know. Like, how do you feel?
Well, frustration-wise, it does get frustrating when you work on like a video that you're like, oh, this is really good. I hope it blows up or gets the traction that I think it deserves, and it doesn't reach that level of success that you were hoping for. And you're like, okay, I spent a lot of time on this, a lot of effort, but it's fine, because when eventually one of my videos did gain a good amount of traction, I think it's at like 300,000 at the time of making this, recording this podcast.
Oh, your last video.
I was like, yes, and it's the video that got me monetized, and I'm like, it's sweet. So, like, I put a lot of effort in it. I contacted a lot of people for it, and I'm very proud of the end product. So to see it gain some success, makes me feel happy. So when I feel frustrated, I'm like, don't worry, man. You can always have the next one. You can always work on the next one. Just focus on doing what you like doing. And yeah, putting it to the side as a hobby more than like full on work is kind of what's helping me stay sane, at least in this whole process. Eventually, if I feel like I'm going to be making enough money off of this, I'm definitely going to have to restructure the way I release content. One video every 3 to 4 months is not a good business strategy. even if I make a lot of short form content in between.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to find at least a simpler to produce style of content to put out in between my long form video essays.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think it's been the same for me. It's very hard to imagine this as just a hobby or a passion or a thing I do on the side when, over the year, I mean, the last 2 years I have not been very active because I really had to finish my PhD. But before, I would say that, the amount of time that I put into this hobby was the equivalent of having a part-time job or even more. So it's hard to, have the same expectation as you have from a hobby, like in the sense of I'm going to put a video out. If it works, it works. Doesn't work, doesn't work. I'm just doing it for the fun. When I put this much effort and attention and I have so much, I really feel like I'm this pull, this attraction towards this kind of content that I create, and I want to make more. And so for me, I have felt sad and scared and frustrated over time, even though I do try, just like you, to think of it as I thought of it as a hobby for the longest time now. My situation has changed, but before, my PhD was my main occupation. And yeah, so I always thought of it as a hobby, but in fact, it has always been a second unpaid job. And that's why my expectations always made me a bit frustrated, I think, over the years. There have been different moments where, the YouTube channel was taking off, and I was excited, or some videos were way better than others, and I was like, oh, this is gonna unlock monetization at a certain point or something. And so yeah, I've not been very good, I think, at managing expectation, but it's something we can talk about in another episode. But in general, I feel very happy with the platform. I felt like everybody, so far my channel is pretty small. We haven't talked about the number of subscribers. You have 3,620 subscribers, and you have 65 videos that are public. Try it here.
Yes.
On my side, how long have you been making video, actually? When was the oldest?
I believe
4 years ago, it looks.
I believe it's been 5 to 6 years, something like that.
Okay. On my side, I do have 42 videos and around 6,000 subscribers. I started 5 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah, so the let's say the community has been super nice online. I love every comment. Everybody's been very supportive, and it's a small community, so the number of negative comments, so the number of people that have negative intents towards me is extremely low. But I believe that the bigger the YouTube channel is, there will be more friction over time. There will be more people saying stuff that's going to be difficult for me to handle. But so far, it's a small community, and my feeling is very positive in that regard. So I don't have any much more to say about this, except that sometimes it is very frustrating. It's a bit scary for the future, but also it gives me a lot of joy, and I really love the stuff that I do on YouTube.
All right.
Good.
I feel like you reminded me of the comments part. Sometimes you have we get very contradictory negative comments.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember, I'm not gonna get into the specifics, but a lot of people sometimes end up being in their own social bubbles with their own political issues or stuff like that. So they end up just using buzzwords on my videos, and it's a lot of times there's two vastly different sides commenting the exact opposite of what my video of what I'm trying to say with my videos.
Yeah.
One says woke, the other says what's the opposite of woke?
Concern.
Fascist.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly everybody, and I get very confused because I'm talking about a Japanese anime. I don't think I said anything wrong. I need to revisit what I said.
Yeah. So I think once your videos reach a large audience, you will have every type of comment there, and there are some clear and how to say clear interpretations of your video, but people will interpret it in many other ways. And yeah, so I think it's kind of normal, and it's also okay. I think that over time, the more people you reach, the more there will be a form of filtering, in the sense that some people will stay, some people will go away, and you will just that's my feelings, my what I expect from YouTube in the future. It's just that there's going to be this filtering, and then you're going to find your audience. Essentially, the people who will stay are the people that do understand what you're trying to do, and the people who are receptive for the stuff that you make. But there will be always people that don't like what you do. And
I try not to get it to discourage me from trying to listen to some actual criticism. Like, I think on my latest video, I got some pretty good feedback. Like, they were negative, but they were pretty good feedback. And they weren't like mean about it. They were just being, hey, I think this thing could be better and this thing could be better. Like, I titled the video in a way that a lot of people felt, hey, I don't think this is a very accurate title to what the video is showing. And I'm like, you know what? Good point. I'm going to change that, and switched it out to that. And yeah, I'm getting some decent feedback, and I always reply, or at least make a community post. Hey, I heard you guys didn't like this. I'm going to try this. What do you think? And they're like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. I think sometimes, we can also talk about this in detail another time, but the idea is, I think it's pretty hard sometimes to draw the line between what is a constructive comment and what is, let's say, this destructive comment, like a comment that doesn't bring anything, right? Yeah. So maybe we can talk a little bit about your creation process. So essentially, where do you get your ideas from? And then once you have an idea, how do you create a video? Because I think that's the beauty of the job, is that we can have a vision, but the thing doesn't exist yet. And then, we have this idea, then we create something, and it takes time and effort and focus, and then you make it, and then there's this thing that didn't exist before. This video that's, 20 minutes long, 10 minutes long. And it's a thing. It's like you give birth somehow to something. And I think it's a very magical process. And I'm curious to know what are the details, like how do you make a video? How do you give birth to a video, Sami?
Well, as someone who just covers obscure animated content, or sometimes even semi-popular ones, I think it's easy for me to figure out what I'm going to talk about, because I'm already basing it on something that, already exists in some sense. But I need to find, at least the right twist on a piece of media that I think might make into an interesting video. Let me give an example. The first video essay I made was about this old obscure film from my childhood. And what I discovered is that the creator behind it is the same as the art director behind The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I was like, So the art director of The Nightmare Before Christmas made an obscure film that nobody seems to talk about, and it seems to have been lost to time. And I'm like, hey, this could be an interesting way to pitch the video. And I'm like, that's like an interesting attention grabber, because it's from somebody who worked on a very popular movie, whose art direction is very iconic in that movie. Yes, it's mimicking Tim Burton's art style, but it's also very much his own.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can research that, make this into a video, and I have a personal attachment to the film that he made. So I think that added some form of authenticity within the video. I'm like, this could be pretty entertaining. Let's make that. So figuring out what the title is going to be, or at least what the hook of that video is going to be, is pretty important to me. Let's see, outside of maybe that video, what about like the first feature animated film of a specific country. I did the first feature that was feature animated film that was made in Serbia, and I was like, oh, okay, first Serbian animated film. Not sure how big the audience is going to be for that, but let me try to do that. Or maybe, let's see, what else? I'm forgetting the titles of my own videos. Is there one that stood out to you?
Well, we did a collaboration together, actually.
Yes, it's a kid's cartoon about cannibal bats.
Yeah.
That was a hook that I felt was like, okay, it's a kid's cartoon about a very brutal topic. Yeah, that I could use that. That's an attention grabber.
Yeah, actually not sure if I've ever seen this. There are part of my brain that wants to remember that, I have actually seen something like this on TV, but I'm not sure I've ever seen it, actually. But yeah, it was fun.
A lot of them end up being like memories you forgot about, and then all of a sudden something reminds you of it, like a flashback, and I'm like, oh, damn, yeah, I used to watch that.
Yeah, it's a very strange feeling when, those memories are still being stored somewhere in your brain, and they just resurface after like 20 years or something like that, or even more, 25 years, and you just never tapped into it. You never went and, revisited those memories, and then you watch like a video or something, or you see a GIF online, and you're like, oh, it just tinkles your brain in a very, very specific way. That's very strange. I like that.
What about you? A lot of your science-based videos at first were pretty random at the beginning, and then I think you transitioned into, well, let me see if I can just use like a movie title as a way to attract the audience. Is that correct? Like, you're like, oh, what is the science behind this fictional movie?
Yeah. So for me, I really never had too much trouble finding something to talk about. I would say that when the stuff that I like to talk about is the stuff that I already like in real life. It's of course there is always some research to do. I need to know stuff that I don't know, but like my first videos were about cephalopods, tardigrades. I talk about the weird sex lives of squids, and that is stuff that, some of those scripts I just sat down and I just wrote without doing much research. Of course, I double checked, to see that I was not saying stuff that was not true. But a lot of the early stuff was just early videos were just about stuff that I'm kind of an expert on, and so I have a life that is full of stuff happening, and I have a lot of passions actually, and every time I love something new or I learn something interesting, I just want to talk about it, and it's kind of how I'm trying to build my YouTube channel, so that whenever there is something that I care about, something that it becomes important in my life, or like a little object or a little fact that I hyper focus on for more than one day, and I keep talking to friends. Oh, do you know about, I don't know, the rotifers? And the rotifers are those tiny animals, and they work like a vacuum cleaner essentially, and it's so cool. Or I started diving into the most spooky squids, the spookiest squids, and the squids that were so weird looking, and we have like some of them, like the Magnapina that you can actually see in this thumbnail here, has those arms that are meters long, and it looks like a Lovecraftian creature. And I don't know, I just like it too much not to find time and talk about it. I have a very long list of stuff that I want to talk about, and it is true that it's a bit sporadic. I have playlists, so I try to create some form of order in all those things that I want to talk about, to the point where I have too many playlists with too few videos, and which doesn't make sense anymore. And I really think that I should rethink the structure of my YouTube channel. But yeah, for example,
honestly, that's something that I had issue with. My idea was like to make a bunch of series with different titles, And then I realized, wait, hold on, if I don't have enough of an audience, I don't think people are gonna care about the title of this specific series.
Yeah.
So I kind of like restructured everything to be as like as vague as possible. I know the hook is going to be obscure animation and a documentary about that, and I'm also trying to like go a little bit beyond animation, just talk about films in general or media in general. But I know like the people that see my videos are gonna understand, okay, this is about an obscure animated topic, this is about another weird animated topic, this is about something lost media. It's all in the same realm almost, so I don't need the title. And that also gave me the freedom to talk about very different things. Like at first it was supposed to be just animated films from my childhood that I remember but nobody else talks about. And then I realized, oh, that is very limiting. There's very little films in that and that specific topic. So I just diversified a little bit, went a little bit more mainstream with maybe like one Spider-Man video just talking about how I really like the ending.
Yeah.
And just going back to deeply research like videos on the production and the making of and the creators of specific pieces of media. And I think that's the part that takes the most time for me, is the research, surprisingly. Like you're science-based, that's obviously research is very important, but me as entertainment-based, I didn't expect myself to dive so deeply into the research part to the point where now every time somebody points out, dude, how did you find out that information, I feel a little sense of pride. But also whenever I get something wrong, like an incorrect fact or used a picture of the wrong individual, part of me dies inside. I'm like, the first thing I'm gonna do when I get money is get like a fact checker.
That's exhausting. I mean, like it's a difficult job to do, part of the process at least. I hate it. It's not that I hate it because I don't want to. I hate it when I discovered that I might have posted a video with wrong facts. I know it's just the process of checking because essentially you have to check everything you say. Like every sentence should transfer a certain amount of information, and you have to check that the information is true. And when I'm doing science, like it's very important. I mean, like we can go a little bit into that, but also science communication has its how do you say this? There are processes within the world of science communication that might not be the same if you do, I don't know, like a reaction video, or if you talk about different topics, because science communication is about conveying something that's very complex in a very not necessarily simple way, but in a way that's easier to understand. And this makes it so that you do have to summarize, but you also have to do generalization and simplification. And so I do have to say things that technically are wrong. And I have had a very hard time of, over the years trying to find the right balance where if this is the most accurate version of something I can say, the one that you would find in a scientific paper, and this is the simplest, probably like wrong way of saying it, but the way that most people would understand, where am I on the spectrum when I'm writing something. And I always feel like she's a little, like maybe my supervisor from work on my shoulder, always like being like, haha, this sentence actually not true, but I do have to do that work and finding where to draw the line between this is an important generalization, simplification of a concept. What is the line between that and this is what I'm saying is actually misleading, it's actually wrong information. It's actually very, very hard. But yeah, I agree with you that it doesn't make sense to have I have, I don't know, like maybe 10 categories, and I have only 40 videos, so each category has like 3 videos in it. For me at the beginning, it was maybe to try to create a form of order in all the chaos of my ideas, because I want to talk about so many different things. And also there is this sense of, at the beginning, I want to create a kind of a classroom online. So having different playlists felt like, this is biology 101, this is physics 101, this is I don't know. This is the music lessons kind of where I sing about science, and yeah. But over time, I just realized that this doesn't make much sense. I will try to figure out how to handle that. But this is just to illustrate that I'm myself not super comfortable with the idea that I talk about a lot of different things, and most of the time, what the how do you say this? The lines that connect all of those it's science because of my approach to those topics, like the scientific approach, the curiosity behind it. But it's mostly the fact that I do love those things that I talk about. So yeah, that's kind of how my last series ended up being what it is, because I've always wanted to talk about movies because I do love movies. I watch a lot of movies. I like cinema so much. But then I couldn't find a way of talking about it in a way that would not feel completely different from everything that I talked before. And so I started to talk about biological aspects of creature features. And yeah, and I love it. I like this idea that I can talk about anything. But yeah, again, so this means
how much did our collaboration influence that?
Actually, it's been in my mind for a long time, and then yeah, I think it really did. I really like what we did, because essentially, I think the stuff that we did together was before my first biofilm.
But far before.
Yeah, I would not lie about it. Like, I really think that helps. I think that your format also helped, and yeah, and I think that. I mean, I don't believe in the idea that everybody has original ideas all the time, and then we get,
They come from everywhere. They literally come from everywhere.
And I think it's very beautiful. I don't know if I would have done biofilm if I didn't do the collaboration with her. And biofilm is definitely so far the series that I'm the most proud of, and I really want to continue doing that. But not only, I want to go back to previous formats too. But yeah, so this is just to say that I do have a lot of ideas. I want to talk about a lot of stuff. So I never really have to sit down and think very hard of a topic to think about. But I can talk to you a little bit about the creation process. So usually for me, I write first thing. And when I say write, I don't necessarily write on paper or like on my computer. I tend to think about a video for a couple of days. Usually, this is a bit weird, but like sometimes I'm, in the subway and I don't really take my phone out. I just, like, everybody's on their phone, but I'm just there and I'm like, I start to write in my head, think about what would be the approach, what I would talk about, why is it important to talk about it for me, what could be little skits that I could add here and there, what would be the tone of it. And yeah, so the writing process starts in my brain for like 1 or 2 days. And sometimes most of the time I do have a script. At the beginning, I did not know if I needed a script or not, or if I would just improvise. Over time, now I write everything. I really like to have exactly what I'm going to say, the way I'm going to say it, and just write it down. I have a storyboard for some of my videos. Just this video, this one. The Predator biofilm video, which has a cinematic intro at the beginning, and this part needed the storyboard because I was not the person filming it, and so the camera person, my partner, who kindly helped me with that, needed to hold the camera a certain way so that she could film the way I wanted her to film. In a way that would make sense for the story and what I wanted to convey. So sometimes I do have a storyboard, and after that, I think I just shoot. Sometimes I have to shoot on location, sometimes I shoot at home. I edit everything in Premiere, and I don't know if it's really the editing software that I prefer. At the beginning, I was editing with Final Cut because I had a MacBook from work. The MacBook almost died because of that. Then I built my own PC. I actually made a video of me building my new PC, and I really wanted to work on Linux. I am a Linux aficionado. I've grown up with Linux all my life, but because of GPUs and drivers and stuff, and it was a bit difficult to create the perfect video editing station with Linux. I have an AMD GPU, and it's a bit annoying with DaVinci Resolve because I wanted to use DaVinci Resolve at the time. Now I do use Premiere on Windows. I hate Windows, but I don't really have a choice. And there I do edit the footage, and then after that I add my effects. My effects that are most of the time drawn on an iPad. And for the longest time, my animation and my VFX, they were hand drawn, frame by frame. Now I use stuff like Adobe Animate, which really helps, but I've never really used softwares like After Effects or Blender or any software that I think I should learn to use, because it will really help me in making my videos, in bringing to life my vision. I just never really had the time. So I'm always tinkering and finding workarounds with the softwares that I do know how to use, even though they are not the most appropriate for the job. But I hope that, once I finish my PhD, I will have more time to, dedicate some days of the week to learn how to use proper softwares to do the stuff that I want to do. So mostly write, sometimes storyboard, edit the video, add VFX. And after that, usually I'm pretty excited about my video, and I'm not able to work on different videos at a time or finish one video and then wait for the second video to also be done, or the third video to be done before I post the first one. And so usually not even 24 hours that I'm done with one video, I just post it. So there is never a buffer in terms of the posting rate. I'm always just posting everything that I'm just finished editing. And time-wise, I think that I can take a couple days to a week to write something. It would take me one day to shoot. Usually I do that in the evening to avoid traffic noise. And then the editing, it really depends. Some of the videos, they took me one day because I just have to put stuff together, maybe add one or two images, common creative license that I found online, and that's it. But sometimes it really takes me more than a month when, for example, one of my videos is, maybe I can show you. One of my videos, it's a video clip of a song that I made with some of my friends.
Yes, I remember that.
And that is, I think, 5 minutes. Where is it? It's 5 minutes, but it's also 5 minutes with a lot of animation. I worked very hard on this one to make it happen. It probably took me like a month or so. So it really, really depends on the type of video that I make. But yeah, it can take less than 1 week. Sometimes it takes me 2 months to do everything, and that's tough. And it's tough because then we go back to the concept of like frustration and things. Sometimes I work for more than 1 month on a video, then it makes like 200 views and nobody watches it, and I'm a little sad. But I also note that, it's kind of an investment in the sense that I make videos now, and I know down the line people will rewatch my older videos. So this is more or less what I do. I do work alone. All of the aspects of all these points in the creation process are me all the time, unless we talk about collaborations. But that's it.
I have a similar process, though I do write everything from the start, at least in my notepad.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I have just like a note for long-form video topics that I can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I discover something new, I write it down. Ooh, this could be like an interesting way to pitch the video to an audience or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like the first ever film fully recorded on green screen is like a video topic that I wanted to do for a while, but I had a hard time getting access to the film itself. So I always put it on the side, and eventually I'm like gonna get to it. And I always have like a bunch of stuff that I want to make videos on, but I find it difficult to get made. For example, apparently the dub of the animated film 9 in Russian kind of changes the plot points specifically, and it fixes a common critique that film has to it. I don't want to spoil it to the people that haven't seen it. But I had a hard time, finding a way to, first of all, prove that they actually changed those elements. And I don't speak Russian. That's kind of an issue, especially when I couldn't find any subtitles for it as well. So I think this is the kind of video that I would need help on. So I put it to the side, and I get to do what I can do. Right now, the video that I'm working on is one that I had for I think 2 years on my notes, and I'm like, okay, I did a few videos that made it pretty big, and this one is a topic that's not, I don't know if anybody is going to be as interested in it as I am, because it has to do with my region. It's like the first adult Arab animated film, and I'm like, all right, this one is something that I really care about because I love animation in general, and I want to talk about films in my region and like the difficulty of making these movies in my region, and why I feel like this is important. But I was always afraid, maybe people aren't going to be interested in like the first Arab film, the first Arab adult animated film or something like that. So I'm like, I'll leave it until I gain more of an audience. And now I think I'm comfortable enough for making stuff that might not get enough clicks. And after I do that, then there's, of course, I need to have either seen the film first before I come up with the idea, or sometimes there's something very special about the film that I end up writing it as a topic before I watch it. But once I get to see it, I watch it like once to see how I feel about it. And I'm like, okay, I really want to talk about it. Even if I don't love it, there's something in it that I really want to talk about. Or if I really don't feel like there's anything that's making me enthusiastic about that certain topic, I just put it to the side. And I'm like, yeah, I think that this is going to get a lot of views, but I'm not passionate about it. So I think I'm going to put it to the side a little bit. It would make good maybe as a short form video, but I don't think I'm going to work on it for like a long form video. So I watch it for the first time to see what I feel about it. If I really love it, I watch it a second time and I take notes on it. And I watch it a third time to double check all the notes. And then I start the research process. Who made this film? Where did it come from? Who are the people behind it? How long did it take? Budget, yada yada. A lot of stuff. I read a lot of interviews, and especially when it comes to interviews with people whose English is not their first language, and I'm talking about a foreign film, I'm gonna have to either use Google Translate for a very basic translation, or now that AI has become a thing, we'll save AI for a different video. But translation AI has helped with translation a lot, because it can actually explain to me the differences between, okay, this is what he said in, say, Korean, and this is what he said, the translation in English, but this is what might have been lost in translation. And I find that very helpful. And it restructures it in a way where their point, the idea that they're trying to communicate, isn't lost within the translation. And Google Translate has always been an issue with that. So thankfully I do that. I finish up the whole script, make sure to fact check. And here's something that I found that a lot of people in my niche tend not to do for some reason. It's citation. I've always been struggling with how to tell people where I got this info from, because I could be making everything up, really. I could just open Wikipedia and be like, okay, I'm just going to read it line by line. But no, I want to show people I'm not plagiarizing anything. I'm not stealing. I'm not making stuff up. I'm actually doing proper research and rewriting everything in my words, maybe using AI just to fix my grammar, because I am dyslexic as hell. I need help. I used to bother my mother all the time and be like, hey, read this, tell me why I'm an idiot, then give it back. So I stopped bothering her now, because I have a few tools in my hand at my disposal where I can use to fix up my grammar. And then I started using like end credits in my videos to like properly cite. And sometimes when I say like specific pieces of information or show a piece of clip, I always make sure there's something credited on the side, like source of this information from yada yada site on the very top right or top left, depends on the video. And at the end of the video, I have like end credits like in a film. In the last 2 videos, I decided to start adding that because there's one documentary that I made on like a stop motion animated film called Mad God.
Oh, wow.
And I was very happy with like the style of it and how it turned out. It was my first time testing out a video where it's more leaning towards documentation than pure video essay in the traditional sense. And I was really happy with it. But what I didn't like about it is that I don't remember how good the research was. I didn't save any of the notes of where I got my information from. I didn't credit them within the video. I feel like in terms of research, I think this one is actually surprisingly basic. Even though when you watch it, you feel like, oh, this is a really nice documentary and stuff like that. And a few of my friends really liked it, but I'm like very self-critical about it. And I'm like, yeah, but maybe I should have explained where I got this info from, or this or that, and properly cited it in the credits and stuff like that. So this is like the lesson I learned from that. And I started using it in every single one of my videos. And I'd be like, okay, this is where I properly got my my sources. And of course, in my document, whenever I write something, I always put source from insert reference here. And I always have, in the end of my essay, like just a bunch of citations of all the information that I got, which is something I wanted to ask about you. I forgot how science-based citations work in like research papers and stuff like that. Because mine is very, very much like high school level video essays. So they're literally structured in the same way you would structure a high school essay, like like attention grabber, 3-body paragraph, and then conclusion. It's kind of like the same thing, but in video format. And now it just has a little bit of a storytelling vibe to it with the documentation process, with the documentation style that I'm going for. So I wanted to ask, how do you manage to cite your sources for your videos?
Yeah, so I think citations, my approach to citations has changed over the years. At the beginning, I think I was not citing too much the stuff that I was talking about, mostly because a lot of the stuff that I was writing was coming from my brain of, like my experience as an expert in a certain domain. And I don't know, like I didn't go to reread certain paragraphs about, I don't know, cephalopod anatomy.
That's a flex, though.
It is a flex, but it's true.
Because you're
but it's bad.
You're like, what is the source? I am the source.
Trust me, I'm the expert. But there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. And so over the years, I thought it was very important to also cite my sources. I don't do that on the video itself, unless some of the videos or some of the images come from a very specific paper, and then maybe I cite, like author, last name, et al., and the year. But most of the time, I just put all my references, the songs that I use, and the videos in my in the description of the video. And yeah, that's how I've been doing this. Some of the videos have a lot of sources, and I don't want to start like making a huge list on my videos. I don't think it's very nice looking, but I try to make sure that people do find the papers that I mention or that I take some inspiration from in the description of the video. Yeah, I've liked doing this. They are in alphabetical order. They are organized in a way that look like could be from a scientific paper. I don't put an enormous amount of time. I don't know if you know this, but like there are different formats when you are citing other papers in your paper. For example, there is like APA, And yeah, I don't know. I just like if it was a paper of mine, then you would be sure that the way you cite is consistent between all of your sources. I don't do this here. I just find a paper. I just find I just cite it. There are some buttons to cite a source, especially if you're reading papers, and I just put that and I order them alphabetical order. I don't think it's very important to have them exactly with the exact format if you have an only last name and name of the author, or last name and the first letter of the author's name and stuff like this. I don't think it's very important. But yeah, and also I do cite a lot of sometimes also just websites because I don't talk about something that's strictly scientific. Sometimes it's I get inspired from someone's work. But yeah, sometimes I do cite papers. But what I do is also I do use all the time, except when I talk about movies, and we can talk about copyright also. That there will be another cool topic to think about. But like my videos usually and my songs are all how would you say this, like royalty free, or at least they are meant to be reused and reshared, and all of them are also there. I think it's very important that if
royalty free and Creative Commons music tracks are primarily what most of us use. Although there was like one video where I used Epidemic sound as music, but I realized, I'm not gonna be able to get the license to Epidemic sound. I was hoping I was gonna be able to do so, and I was like, too late. I already used the music. Okay, fine. I can get copyright claimed. It's fine as long as I don't get a strike. So right now there's one video which is like a big X on the monetization. On the monetization symbol is like, you can't copyright you can't monetize this. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. But I did get eventually an Envato Elements subscription for the latest video that I made. And I was like, okay, perfect. I'm gonna get an Envato's Elements subscription. I even used a track of a very popular music online, and I'm like, I'm gonna ask the creator if I can get permission to use it. And they saw my content and they were like, you know what, sure, we can give it to you for free. Okay. I was like, I was willing to pay, and they're like, you're a small channel, it's fine. It's like, yes, awesome. So I managed to get permission from them. I sent them the link so they can remove the copyright from it, and I added the license that I got from Envato Elements to remove the right from the track that I used. I also used a lot of stock images from there. And yeah, I'm trying as much as I can to make sure I don't accidentally use something copyrighted.
Yeah, it's different.
Or if I do use something copyrighted, I'm like, okay, I just not monetize this. It's fine if I get a claim. But yeah, originally just focus on Creative Commons music, royalty-free stuff, and sometimes you just come across other creators or who are making pretty good content. Once I used a music track from a creator that I thought was royalty-free, but I was not aware that it was not royalty-free. So, but I did credit everything in like the description and like that. And the guy who made the audio commented on it, and I was like, oh, thanks. Only then, after he commented, he said nice video and everything, and I was like, awesome, keep up the good work. I told him that as well. I went to his channel and I realized, there isn't like a free to use label on his video tracks. I think I accidentally used his music without permission.
Whoopsie.
So I'm like always careful now, and it's like, make sure you don't use somebody's work without permission, unless like you're reviewing it for review, obviously. I don't need permission for that.
I think when you are in the creative process and you're in the flow and you have so much in your hands, like in terms of like for example, both you and I, like we make everything from the ground, and like we do take care of every aspect of the creative process. And so I don't know you, but like I feel like I have only basic or decent skills for each step of those creative process. I'm not like a professional, like you are a professional video editor, but this is not what I do in real life. But like, like editing, animation, all of that, I just do it, and I'm clearly it's clearly not a specialization of mine. It's not something that I excel at. And so even sometimes in the writing process or in the fact-checking process or in finding assets, whether they are videos or images or songs, not doing a job that is as good as if I was going to hire someone to do it, because that would be their only job, right? And so we have to have this overall view of the entire project, and we also have to do all the specifics of the project. But for me, I never find that I'm doing the perfect and amazing job that one person would do if this was their only job. And this is why there are a lot of little mistakes on the way. And sometimes also getting a YouTube, like a song from a YouTube video that you thought like, oh, it was royalty free. Actually, it was not royalty free. And then you have to deal with the consequences. But I think it would be cool to have an episode where we talk about all the little, not the failures, but all the little moments where you say like, oh, wow, I messed up here. I messed up there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you were talking about, oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, no, because I was going to add to talking about how we're doing everything on our own, basically. We get a lot of help from a lot of people. I don't want to say, oh, I'm doing everything on my own. No, obviously the music that I'm using has been made by other people.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is already like films that are made by a whole team of people. So saying everything on my own isn't very accurate. But right now, I am literally just one person on a computer, just talking about what he likes about the film and talking about the research that he did behind the making of this film. So I really try to simplify the production process a lot. For example, you said you wanted to learn more like Adobe Animate and Blender and add that to your skill set when you have time and stuff like that. The same for me, but because I'm also working full-time as an editor, going back and learning more stuff about editing is it's frustrating. I don't want to spend my entire life in front of the screen. And I kind of want to diversify what I do a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
So I do take some time at my job to to try and learn new things while I'm there as well. Because sometimes maybe they want a very interesting effect for like social media posts, and I'm like, I can learn how to do that and use what I learned how to do there in my own projects, as well as the opposite. I learned a lot of stuff how to do some effects on my own projects, and I apply them at my work. So it's kind of vice versa. So what I try to do right now when I'm making the video, anything that has to do with animation, anything that has to do with the cool effects that you might see being done in like 3D softwares or Adobe After Effects, I do it all in Premiere. Premiere gives me as much as I dislike Adobe right now, for a lot of legitimate reasons, Adobe Premiere gives you the opportunity to tinker with it as much as you can, even like what's the term where you use something for not its intended purpose? Jerry-rig? Yeah, I jerry-rig Premiere. I'm not sure if that's the right term.
But okay.
Jerry-rigging Premiere here to basically be an animation software sometimes. It has a very few basic animation features that I'm like, okay, let's use my own skills and see if I can make something interesting with the very few basic tools that I got.
Yeah.
So it's more like I know what I want and what I want to get. Henceforth, I don't need the most overcomplicated softwares to do it. I can do it with the very basic tools that I have right now.
Do you think your creative process is very different? I mean, it has to be a little bit different, but when you're, in terms of timeline, for example, when you collaborate with someone, have you done a lot of collaborations?
Yes, I've done a couple of collaborations. I think yours was very, very different from the collaborations that I'm doing now, because yours was a full-on collab. I messaged you and I'm like, hey, we want to be part of this video. I have yet to make it. We can record maybe like some green screen footage if you have green screen, and we can add you to that. That could be a whole fun thing.
Yeah.
And that was the first collaboration that I've ever done. And later on, I started figuring out an easier way to collab with people and to have like a fun cameo in every video just to attract audiences. And the way I figured it out, I was like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. This is the structure of how I'm gonna make my videos. I'm gonna find the movie. If I like something about the movie that I think might make a great video, I choose that film. I watch it a couple times, write my notes, do my research, double check my research, record my voiceover, start the editing process. During the editing process, contact maybe a few creators that are behind this that might be able to fix some of the notes that I wrote. If there's some extra stuff and extra info that they give me, I can actually re-record a few things, restructure a few things, continue that, finish up the whole video as is, full visual, full video ready. And I have certain parts where I'm quoting a few things, like say a quote from an article or a quote from a review or something like that. I'm like, hey, you know what? I can get somebody else to do a little voiceover cameo for this part.
Yeah.
And they send me their voice and I contact the person and I'm like, hey, interested in being part of this video? And sometimes they're like, no, sometimes they're like, yes, sometimes they just don't reply.
Yeah.
But whenever I get the yes, I just like, hey, here's a small part if it's not too much of your time.
Yeah.
And they're like, happy to help. Yeah, sure. Here's my voiceover. It takes like a second, and I just replace my own voiceover with theirs, and that's basically the structure of my cameos from henceforth. Like I realized that's actually the style that I'm going to go with from now on. That's actually the approach that I'm going to go with from now on. Because seeing maybe a name of another YouTuber might make the audience a little bit more excited to be like, ooh, I recognize this person. I'm interested in watching that.
Yeah, it feels like crossovers.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I don't think I have done a lot of collaborations. One of them was with you. Sorry. I always feel like there are two different type of form of collaborations. Either, for example, you may correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you actually had a couple of points you wanted me to write about, maybe like about those bats, cannibalism, and echolocation, I think, or just essentially this is like write something about the biology of those animals, and I don't think I had much insight in the rest of the text, and so it was more of you write this, and then you also you can film on a green screen, and then you took all of that and you remixed it in the way you wanted to fit your video. You also did all the composition with the green screen, and yeah, so I've done that. I'm pretty sure it was like that, right?
Yes, it was like that. Nowadays, it's the way I pitch the cameos to people is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Now I just make sure the full video is done, but I don't send them the full video. I sometimes just send them like the opening, and like here's the opening, and here's an example video of like a previous video that I've made of what it's gonna be like. So for my last video to get a cameo, I finished up the edit of the opening, and I was like, maybe I can use this as a pitch to attract other YouTubers to help like collaborate or something like that. So I attached it as a Google Drive document, and I was like, hey, here's a previous example of what the cameo is going to be like and what the topic is going to be like. And I showed them an older video with a similar cameo, a similar style to the next video, and that gives them an idea of whether or not they like to help out and stuff like that. 'Cause I don't know if anybody would be interested if I shared the full script or the full topic, but obviously they need like a clear idea. You don't want them to like a cameo in your video and then discover that the video is something extremely, I don't know, racist or homophobic or something like that, and they'd be like, hey, I didn't agree to that.
Yeah, definitely.
First of all, you shouldn't be doing any of those to begin with. That's my opinion.
Yeah. So I think for me, in the sense of collaborating with some other people on their videos, it has always worked like this. Someone have given me a couple of key points, and I wrote that, and I asked them, "Is this okay?" And the person said, "Okay, yeah, it's good." And then I shot it, and then the other people just edited those parts in their videos. Videos that were hosted on my channel, I think I've always kind of had the not the kind of the creative authority, like in the sense that I would actually write the parts of like everything, and also the parts that were not mine. And I would ask the other person to, this is a skit, or this is like you and me discussing about, this topic. And I would like the conversation to go like this, but then you can take your own dialogues and you can make them a bit more your own. And then we can modify mine a little bit to fit that better. But this is my vision for the video that's going to go on my channel. And and so usually people just, they rewrite certain parts of what they write, but it still feels it's not truly collaboration, but it's just a very long cameo where I wrote everything for that person. The person comes, does the stuff, maybe modify it so that it feels like it's theirs. But in the end, it's just a very long cameo. I don't think I've done a lot. I'm not even sure if I've ever done a video where the entire creative process worked in parallel. Like, oh, let's do this video about this, let's talk about this, and then we write together at the same time, and it just organically just works. And it never really happened like this. There was always someone leading the entire writing of the script, and then someone else would jump in to add a few things in a certain spot that was blank, or to correct something that was already written for them. But I would like Monday to...
Yeah, having basically like one director.
Yeah, essentially that's
instead of leader. I'm gonna say one director. Simplifies the whole thing. I feel like if I did do a collaboration where we're each opening up like a live video call and starting to write our ideas and stuff like that, that's gonna be a full-time job that I do not have the time to do. Like, it's doable. It's definitely very doable, but it's definitely, it needs a budget for that.
Yeah.
Right? Time is money when it comes to that kind of things. So to simplify the whole process. With your video, I did, with your cameo, I did basically tell you, I'm like, because I wanted to get somebody to be my first collaborator. I was already in contact with you, so I'm like, okay, maybe I could sneak in some science stuff. And I'm like, okay, but bats aren't his like go-to topic. I don't think he knows anything about bats, but he can give like a few factoids here and there, because there's some fictional elements within the story that seem to be based on like real animal traits that bats have, and he knows how to research stuff. So I'm like, okay, so I get like this point here, this point here, this point here. Any real life examples you can give me? And you did your own research and recorded your video. I think that was like, that was the only cameo that was complicated to do, at least. Yeah, it's not that complicated, but like, it's more complicated than just reading a couple of pre-written paragraphs and interview quotes.
Yeah, it was fun. I think we should really do like a collaboration on my channel now, and maybe we can do a biofilm together. A biofilm on a creature from a movie that nobody else watched, or that was lost, in time. That would be cool. Okay, cool. I think we talked about all the things we want to talk about. We're already at 1 hour and 20 minutes of chatting about cool stuff, so that's super nice. I think we should slowly conclude. There are a few points at the beginning where we're talking about what we do outside of work. I don't know if you actually did mention photography, because I have a...
Oh yeah, I did not mention photography. Photography is just a hobby that I'm doing, honestly. You know what I hate about my page right now? My Instagram page?
What?
Yeah, my
it has nothing to do with YouTube?
No, my idiot self forgot to turn on upload high quality data
Oh no.
on the Instagram settings. So whenever I go back now and I click on the images, I'm always like, why do they look a little bit lower quality than what I was expecting? And then I realized I forgot to turn on that setting.
Yeah, your pictures, they look amazing. That's great. Yeah.
That's my the guy on the top. It's my friend Marco. We met in university, and he has this punk band that I take pictures for. Basically, photography work I don't consider it work. I just consider it as a way to get into places for free and be like, hey, I can take pictures for free if you can give me free tickets and stuff like that. And they're like, definitely, we love free pictures.
Do you get to enjoy still the show? Like, I mean, you're seeing it through
enjoy it.
Yeah, probably through a different lens.
Get to enjoy it because no, it's honestly hanging out in loud concerts isn't my thing, but the being able to feel like I'm part of the whole event is kind of more exciting to me.
Yeah,
like I get a little bit of like a backstage pass with my photography work, so it feels it's more interesting to me to be a photographer at these events than to be just a casual audience.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I don't know if I talked about some of my other projects. Oh, look, we're here, PlayHead Podcast.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, we quickly mentioned that, or we can talk about this another time when we talk about the future of our channels and how to diversify in terms of medium and etc. I don't know if it's. I think we can conclude on the stuff that we like to do in real life. I think it's also cool.
You mentioned your art and music within your videos.
Yeah, so I don't really have. I used to have a SoundCloud like 10 years ago where I put music, but actually the music I have one clip where I play music, and I think I posted it on my second channel. Then this is like I really like the concept of a second channel as a place where I can put anything that I want that has nothing to do with science. And maybe it frees me a bit from this idea that I do have to stay contained in one category of videos, and there I just do whatever I want. Just probably like the podcast is gonna go there, but playing music goes there too when it's not about science. Yeah, if one day I talk about I do play a lot of Magic the Gathering, and I do actually paint cards. So this is a process that I would love to talk about. But maybe it's nothing to do with science. I could talk about magic in a way that relates to science, but I don't know if painting cards would have anything to do with science. So that would
a whole channel dedicated just to Magic the Gathering, or maybe Warhammer as well.
Yeah, but that would be like too much, and I have too much to handle already with 2 channels and everything else.
And by the way, I found one of the backstage passes for my photography work. I forgot that I had it hanging here.
Oh.
It was for like a heavy metal concert. Actually, a death metal concert. I gotta get my genres correctly.
Nice.
I still have it here.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think, for example, another thing that I do is like I'm a tattoo artist, so I do a lot of tattoos, and I think that is something that I really would like to talk on the main channel, because I do think there's a lot of stuff to talk about this. Behind, like, the science behind tattooing and the history of it, and I would love to make a video, because I also do tattoo my skin, and so I would love to do a tattoo on myself as I talk about the science of tattoos. That would be cool. Yeah, so those are also different projects. I think it's just also to say that sometimes we have to decide what kind of content we create for the channel, and choose this idea of choose an identity. You give an identity to the channel, and you can't fit everything that every creative, every artistic content you create in life. You can't put everything in there, and it's for me a reason why I have different channels. Somehow some of those are Instagram accounts, but I wish to put everything on a YouTube channel, but I can't. Sometimes I wish I could, but it doesn't make sense to talk about everything that I like there. And sometimes it's a bit hard when you have you feel very creative about something, and you have this space, this YouTube channel where you want to share stuff, but it just doesn't feel right to talk about it there. And then I just keep it for myself, or I just put it on an Instagram account that nobody watches. But Yeah, so the multi-dimensionality of being creative people, yeah, and wanting to share it with the world, but sometimes it's not easy. Good.
Yeah, we can explain in the next episode maybe, or like in a future episode, how we managed to create a visual identity for our content. This was the one thing that I was struggling the most, to know what fonts to use, what color grade to use throughout my videos and stuff like that, or what background animation to use. So eventually I started realizing that every single video might have its own visual identity. So I can use a couple of things similar all throughout my videos, but I think every single one of my videos have a very distinct art direction to it, because it follows the movie that I'm covering, or like the piece of media that I'm covering.
Yeah.
But with you, I feel you're far more consistent because you film everything that you do. So you have the exact color palette, the same lighting towards every video, and a same font and animation style all throughout.
Yeah.
So I think you have a very visually distinct identity that it's easy to recognize, I think, after a while.
Yeah. I mean, I think it has shifted after time, over time, but it always shifted very slowly. Towards a certain, like if you watch my first video and you watch some of my last videos, they really don't look like each other. But I think the transition was pretty smooth. I do have plans for the future and the coming videos where I think there will be kind of a drastic change, because I do have a new vision now. I've been a bit away from the channel for a couple of years. I want to do something a bit different, and there will be a clear point where, okay, the channel is gonna go in this direction now. So forget about everything that happened before. But yeah, so we can definitely talk about that in another episode. That would be cool. I think this is a topic that's very important for me. And I think if you want to have a channel over a long period of time, the consistency of the identity of your channel, I think, is very important. But yeah, cool. I think we've been talking for a little too long, and I think it's time to maybe
call it a day.
It was super nice talking to you. I hope, I hope for us it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be a very useful place for us to not only to vent, but also to express idea and exchange ideas. And maybe for the future, when we're going to look back at this, we're going to be like, oh, so cute. They had no idea. And I hope that some people might feel inspired and also be informed, because it's not an easy path, the one that we decided to take. But yeah, in any case, I had a lot of fun talking to you, Sami, and I'm excited to talk about other stuff YouTube related.
All right, it was good talking to you too.
Then have a nice day. Bye.
Yes.
Good. Yes. Hi. Thanks. Thanks.